Hello! I know, I'm by myself and I'm reviewing a bit of an older. It came out earlier this year to Hulu, Netflix, everything. But I finally got around to seeing this. I've actually been seeing advertisements for this on the internet, of course. And I've been wondering, it's like, okay, what the hell is this about? I mean, I know it's Nicolas Cage just trying to, pay off his massive tax debt. But what is this movie that's called Mom and Dad? What is this all about? And I decided I'm going to just put in her Sunday Funday moniker anyway, because why the hell not? So I finally sat down. I was like, alright, I'm going to watch this thing, see what the hell this is, figure out why this has a lower rating on IMDb. Is it because it's cheap? Is it because it's bad? What is up with it? Also, I'm pretty fairly decent Nicolas Cage fan. I'm not going to see every single thing he's ever in, but I will watch most of it and be like, alright. It's like, oh, this plot at least seems somewhat interesting. In fact, this one is a unique plot in certain regards. Those who are wondering, what is the plot of Mom and Dad? Something happens. It's very vague what did happen. But something happens, and people throughout the United States decide to start killing their kids. They do not worry about other kids, they only worry about their own. Though that is a plot hole eventually, later on I'm going to get into. And they don't know why it's happening. They never explain. I will say that much in the movie. If you want an explanation for why this happens, you're not going to get it in this movie. So, yeah, parents decide to start killing their kids in gruesome ways. And I get the premise there. I get what's the idea. It's meant to be more of a darker comedy, is what it's supposed to play on. The fact that, teenagers are so awful. It's like, parents just want to kill their kids, hee hee hee. And kids are just being such bratty kids, gotta kill them, hee hee hee. Not saying it's actually a good thing. Don't kill your kids. But it is something that I could see could be played for dark humor. That is the one thing I was like, okay, this is probably going to go for dark humor. And this movie sucks. It tries to play up the dark humor by just being batshit insane. The whole time while I was watching this, I was getting a lot of flashbacks to Crank. Those who do not know about the Jason Statham movie called Crank and its sequel, Crank High Voltage, let me just tell you, you are missing a treat. You're missing out if you've never seen that movie. They're actually really damn interesting. Their camera work is something you have to get accustomed to. It does like to shake and swivel and move around a lot more than you would really like. In fact, if I was watching a movie for good camera work, those movies would bother me a lot. But they're meant to be very exploitive, for lack of a better term. In films, the Crank movies are meant to be exploitive, and they don't even shy away from that. And they do the same thing in Gamer, not as good of an extent, I think, but still a decent enough extent. And they also do that in the Ghost Rider movie that these two pair guys, in fact, did. And, I can't remember their names, unfortunately, but they did the second Ghost Rider movie, which I actually thought was a lot better than the first one. And even though I thought the first one was not as bad as everybody was like, oh, it's the worst movie ever, I still thought that, it was watchable. It's like, it's a watchable movie. It's not a great movie. But hey, I've seen worse. Oh, ironically enough, that actually explains a lot. I was just looking, in fact, if you're wondering what I'm doing right here, I was looking up the director of this movie. Oh, crap, sorry. IMDb doesn't want to work with me today. But in fact, I was wondering, so, hey, so, because that name, I was like, I swear that is one of the Crank guys. It is actually one of the Crank guys, which is interesting. It's telling, though, that their style has not progressed, and in fact, it feels though in Mom and Dad it's actually regressed. Crank Gamer Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, when it decides to have action sequences, it at least tries to make it legible what's going on throughout most of it. It tries to make sure that you can see it. It either pans back just enough that that shaky cam, it's a little annoying, but it's not enough that you're just going to be completely taken out. In fact, those who've seen the series Happy, he also helps to direct a number of the episodes. And you could usually tell. And obviously, you get some of their signature humor. Their humor likes to borderline on juvenile at times. And I don't know why. Like I said, this movie's just not very good. The camera work, like I said, it feels like it's regressed. There's too much where there's more enclosed spaces that we see from, and only that, but the big mom and dad's killing their kids. In fact, you're all worried about Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair eventually turning on their own kids. Which, I'm going to be honest, these kids are kind of assholes. They're not the greatest kids in the world. I'm not saying they have to be perfect like Dylan, but you know. You have one teenager, she steals from her mother, and she's just an awful brat. And her actress just cannot do anything but just this. She pretty much has resting bitch face constantly. And there's never a reason for it. She's just a bitch just because she's a bitch. Because teenagers be bitches. It's the most I can figure from it. And there's also the son. He's stupid is the best way to put him. I don't know if he's supposed to have some kind of like a learning disorder or something. He does dumb things for dumb reasons. And not only that, but this movie is just exactly an hour and a half long, and it feels padded. It feels like there's some scenes that are just there so we have to pad this runtime. Like you get flashbacks to Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair arguing about him building this pool table because of things. It doesn't build into the movie. It doesn't add depth to the characters. It doesn't do anything but exactly what you knew. You knew Nicolas Cage was a dad who, kind of maybe didn't love his job, but he, was happy with his kids. So he's also... The whole time they tell him just to act like Nicolas Cage. Be insane. So whenever he finally does the I'm going to kill my kids stuff, mind you, it's like a rage virus thing, though they're still intelligible enough that they can talk to each other and all that. So once it happens with Nicolas Cage, you don't get a sense that he changed as a human, which is a thing. It's like, okay, that kind of makes any changes for him feel a lot weaker than they should. I don't know. I know what they were trying to go for, but because of this weird shift and having it be Nicolas Cage, who's just being Nicolas Cage the whole movie, I mean, even before the change happens, and it does not help. Again, it's not explained why this is happening. I know some people are like, well, it adds a mystery. But that's the thing. It's like there isn't a mystery to it except for the fact you're trying to wonder, why do they want to do this? It seems to be like a static thing. Maybe it's subliminal messaging. I don't know. It's never touched upon enough or explained well enough that you really give a shit. So by the time it ends, you're like, what the fuck? Why were they doing any of this? Why are any of these parents killing their kids? Like you see, and I will say this movie tries to be exploitive as well. Like you see a mother who just gives birth tries to kill her kid. Though they, for some reason, they pull back on it and it doesn't make sense because You see other parents who are fine watching other parents killing their kids, and immediately, like afterwards, Selma Blair suddenly becomes wanting to kill her kids, and there's this whole subplot with Selma Blair that constantly crops up about her trying to fit in life. I don't know what this is doing. It's like it wants to have a deeper message. It feels like it wants to say something, but it's like me right now. It's flummoxed with its ability of trying to figure out what words are. It also does not help. The acting in this movie is terrible throughout. Nicolas Cage, of course, is always his, super hyperactive, insane, I'm going to scream for no real reason. But everybody else is just either overtly subdued or they're got bugs in their eyes on acting crazy. And it doesn't come off like a crazy person, it comes off somebody who's overacting. That's constantly what I was getting thoughts in my head. I'm like, well, Selma Blair's overacting the shit out of this for no good reason. I don't get it. I don't get what the point of this was. That's, I think, the long and short of it, and that's the worst thing about this entire film. I don't get why this is made. I don't get why this even has to exist. There's also, I'm going to throw it out, there's music throughout this that is terrible. Just to put it this way, there is ambiance music that you can have throughout most films. Most horror movies usually do it pretty good. Most earlier horror movies, let me put it that way. And, I get ambiance music, something, kind of like background stuff. But there are times when the music is set to such a loud volume that you don't hear what's going on in the scene, or you don't hear when characters are talking. And it's not even like it's supposed to drown them out. Like, I think Crank did that once or twice, where the music just kind of drowns out what they're talking and just has subtitles or something. Here, you cannot hear what they're saying real well, but it's not that the music is supposed to drown them out. It's just that's how they decided to shoot this scene. What the fuck? Why? I normally like this director and his friend's work. I call him friend. I don't know. They might be lovers. Who knows? I don't care. Whatever the hell floats their boat. Just he's not with the other guy who usually helps to make these movies. Because of that, though, you can tell that one of them was a voice of reason within two bad voices at that. But one of them says, like, this, we need to do this, because this is not explained at all. This is not given some kind of a description. I just can't like this. I tried to be like, alright, open mind. Alright, I don't like these characters already. They're really annoying. Stuff's sort of happening. And that's the other thing. This is a slow movie. By the time Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage, because we're following two major kids in a way. They're supposed to be our main characters, I think. Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair are sort of like just the Harry and Marv is all they are. They're trying to go after these their eventual kids. They try to eventually go after the kids about halfway through the movie. And it takes such a long time for that to finally go through. You're like, oh my god, why did we take this long to get the movie started, it feels like. And that's constantly what I'm saying. Is like, why is this taking so long? Why are we dilly-dallying? Why are we lollygagging? What the hell are we doing this for? I don't know. I don't get what's the point. And that's the other thing. It feels like it wanted to say something, it just couldn't, so it decided to go drink itself in oblivion and make this movie about as incoherent as humanly possible. These directors I know are better. I know they can do better. They can at least make a rather incoherent film feel more coherent than it has any right to be. Again, the Crank films, Gamer even, and also Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Here, it feels like there's so much style with the camera work. Again, it's pulled in too close. And not only that, but it's in these close interiors where a lot of times you can't tell what's going on, or it's too dimly lit, so you can't see anything. I guess they've lost it. I don't know. They don't understand what it is they want to do. And also going to touch upon the end of this film. At the very end, the kids are talking to their parents after they kind of pretty much have defeated them. But they haven't killed them in any way. Well, they're talking with them, and the parents are kind of tied up and stabbed and beaten up, because also it turns out that Nicolas Cage's parents showed up and decided to try and kill Nicolas Cage. Or at least consistency there. Though it doesn't explain things. And then also there's a plot hole in the fact that Nicolas Cage's mother tries to fight with Selma Blair, even though obviously they're not. Selma Blair's not their child. It's just cuz, in all essence. Ugh. But I think the big thing, though... sorry, I'm kind of skipping around, much like this movie. I think the big issue as well to talk about the story aspect. Because again, this movie has so many fucking problems. Its story is also another fucking glaring hole. The Crank films had an issue sometimes. They would flashback, but it would usually be a minute maybe or so. This movie feels like its flashbacks are supposed to have purpose, supposed to have something behind it. Some of them aren't interconnected very well. Like, 2 flashbacks obviously were supposed to take place next to each other. They're supposed to be right near each other. And instead, they take place, one takes place at the beginning of the film, and the other one takes place at the end. So if you don't recall this first flashback that well, this one's not going to make a whole lot of sense. And again, Nicolas Cage is being manic throughout the entire thing. It would be okay if that means he was like the progenitor of this virus thing that's happening. But also at one point, the daughter of, I think her name is Riley or something like that. She is, dating this one kid. He's a junior. She's a sophomore. No, it's so bad because he just wants sex. And you get shit like that. And at one point, he's trying to save Riley after his dad tried to kill him. And mind you, here's the thing. It's like, I would like to try and care about this character. He's dealing with a divorced dad and all this other stuff. But he acts like this. Everything he says, oh no, it's a good thing my parents were divorced. He says everything like he's surprised that he's saying words. Ugh. But at one point, Nicolas Cage goes psycho on him and nearly kills him. Never mind the fact that we saw earlier in the movie, whenever these parents were deciding to attack this high school just to kill their kids, they didn't attack other kids. They attacked their own. I don't know. It's just the shit, guys. The actual shit. And even then, there's another point to where he sees one neighbor, he's just kind of walking around with a bloody baseball bat, just kind of waves at these kids and doesn't say anything to them or do anything to them. It's obviously, that means they're only going after their own kids, so why does Nicolas Cage try to kill this other kid? Is that how venomous he is? Is Nicolas Cage is he not like black people in this movie? What the actual hell? Ugh. To get back to what I was talking about, the ending. like I said, at the end of the movie, kids win, parents are tied up, and they're trying to get let loose so that way they can tend to their wounds or something. But the kids don't believe it, and Nicolas Cage like, well, it's just sometimes we just... And it cuts off. That's the end of the movie. He just begins to go manic, and he's talking about, like, I guess, how they just sometimes snap a little. That's it. If you cannot do an ending for your fucking movie, don't write a movie then. If you cannot figure out how you want this to end, don't make a movie. Or don't shoot it. Don't do something. It's not an ending. That's the worst thing. It's like, I wasn't expecting something groundbreaking. I wasn't expecting, some enlightenment or anything. But I was expecting an ending. Oh. Hell, all the other movies they've done, they do endings. Sure, they're kind of insane, to put it lightly. But it's an ending. This is just a mess. It's so stupid, too. You don't care about the characters. Nobody in this is likable. Nicolas Cage is a perv and a fucking weirdo in the worst of ways. Selma Blair is just as doe-eyed Bella Swan when she becomes a mom. Riley, the main actress, I guess, she's just a brat in the most unenjoyable ways. She's a bitch to her mom because she's a teenager. That's the only reason why. Is it because she feels that her mother did something? Did her mother do something? No, it's just because she must be, because she's a teenager. It's the lamest writing in the world. It's like, okay, these characters are only that way because they have to be that way. If y'all want an actual score, because I'm sitting here, I'm just like, what the actual hell? I hate to be that mean, but it's because this movie decides to have its director style trump any attempt at making a coherent story, any attempt at having decent writing, or any attempt at having an interesting story. It's a 1. I mean, there's nothing good that happens throughout this entire movie. Even Nicolas Cage's manic moments feel so random because they happen at times when this rage thing's not really happening. It makes for an uneven film. It makes for you not being able to believe the characters. It makes for whenever it happens, you're not able to understand or give a shit about it. I just don't get it. What was the point? That's the worst part. It's like, it's not entertaining. It doesn't have a message, and it's not even funny. That's the worst part. It tries to be a dark comedy, but here's the thing. Dark comedy may be dark humor. It's still funny, though. That's the reason why that word comedy is in there. Otherwise, it's just dark because it needs to be dark. Ugh. I guess I fucking skip it. If you're a huge Nicolas Cage fan, you're not even going to enjoy it, even on the premise that you get to watch Nicolas Cage be random, because he's barely in the movie. Like, he's in it for maybe 15, 20 minutes tops. Mind you, for an hour and a half long movie, I mean, that's kind of a decent amount, but it feels like he's barely in it. So, fuck it. But hey, I'm actually kind of enjoying, though, doing these, talking with y'all more about movies. I love talking about movies, as you can tell. So, I actually have another movie I'm going to be watching soon. If I can, I will do a review of it soon. I cannot promise when, unfortunately. Working. If I didn't work, I'd probably be able to put these out, like, every day. But yeah, if I can, the next film you might see me talk about will be Terminal. I've actually been wanting to watch it for a while since I saw the trailer. I was like, ooh. And now it's like, it's finally out. I can see it on Hulu, so we'll see how it all goes. So until then, everybody, I'll see y'all with the next time. So bye-bye, everybody.